Without climate change, Maine's lobster fishery would not be anywhere near as successful as it is today. With rising ocean temperatures, the abundance of temperate waters drove lobsters north into the Gulf of Maine. However, the continuation of rising ocean temperatures is now damaging to lobster habitat. According to the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, by 2050, that warming could cut lobster populations in the Gulf by up to 62%. Crustaceans thrive at temperatures between 61 and 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the water hits 70 degrees, its oxygen levels plummet to the detriment of a host of marine plants and animals, lobsters included. According to a 2018 study, the Gulf's lobster population could fall by 40 to 62% over the next 30 years. Rising temperatures have also contributed to a decline in other fisheries, like shrimp, cod, and scallops, leaving fishermen in Maine precariously dependent on the thriving lobster populations. The lobster industry in New York and southern New England has nearly collapsed. From 1996 to 2014, New York's registered lobster landings dropped 97.7%, from 9.4 million pounds in 1996, the state's most profitable year, to 215,980 pounds in 2014, the latest data available. According to the National Climate Assessment, from 1982 to 2006, sea surface temperatures in the coastal Northeast warmed by close to twice the global rate. In a 2015 study, the Gulf of Maine Research Institute found that sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Maine are warming 99% faster than sea surface temperatures on the rest of the planet.
What are your experiences with lobster fishing?
So I've been out on lobster boats with friends and hauled traps, but only as a guest, not as a commercial fisherman. I've hauled traps numerous times because I did run one of the tour operations in town for a few years, where we would take people out and show them about lobstering. But most of my familiarity comes with just knowing lobstermen and being familiar with the industry.
I went to college for about a month and then I kind of gave up and just ended up being a stern man on the back of the boat. And I went through the apprenticeship program to get into the business, which it wasn't as complicated then as it is now to get into the business, but it's pretty much what made me want to do it.
I work as a sternman on a lobster boat, which I love. It's great. I love to be outside, and so yeah, being able to work outside, and I've fallen in love with being on the water. Like, the more I'm out on the ocean, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I never knew that I loved the ocean so much.
Have you personally experienced any human-wildlife conflicts?
I've encountered whales that have been entangled offshore, and I've worked with whales that have died and necropsied them and removed rope and netting from around their mouth and bodies. So I've encountered entanglement issues.
What are some problems you face while fishing, specifically regarding animals?
Well, you guys probably know there's like the whale thing that we're dealing with right now, but we don't have really too many animal issues, as far as entanglements and stuff like that. Like seals or something like that. Every now and then you'll see them hanging on a buoy or something, chewing on it. That's about it, really. I've never seen anything dramatic.
Do you feel like climate change is affecting your work or the resources that are available to you?
Here around Bar Harbor, Maine, or MDI, it is not yet, but I have heard that like further south, New England and other places that used to have major lobster industries don't anymore, because the waters are warming and they need those colder temperatures to have like viable offspring. So I personally haven't experienced anything with climate change affecting this location.
The way I see it affecting me is from a biological perspective. I've been going out of Frenchman Bay for over 20 years now on excursion boats, looking to find whales and study whales. And it's become harder and harder. When I first started working on whale watch boats, we would see all kinds of different feeding behaviors, and those behaviors have slowly waned over the years, and there's less and less of it, very much as a direct result of warming waters in the Gulf of Maine and a loss of food or a lack of food in the water column that attracts the whales in the first place.
I think it has a little bit. Like I said before, just with Mother Nature and all that. Like with the past couple of storms we have, obviously with the boat blowing up on the island and all that, you just don't know what it's going to do. But I think sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, I guess. I don't really know. I haven't seen too many changes in the past years.
What is it like working with your hands, and what methods do you use to lobster fish?
Try to obviously not injure your hands. And it's basically it's a business that involves your hands pretty much and your legs, obviously, like in a job, but it's a little more harder on your hands. I got like protective gloves and stuff like that. Just don't get your fingers caught in the hauler, stuff, working on your engine or whatever. That's what we use. Everybody's got a different size they might use, or heads might be a little bit different, but I got a couple different sizes in here.
Yeah. Could you explain how one of these works?
So, what we do, a lot of guys, this is a bait bag we call. We'll stuff that full of bait, and then put it in the trap, and go through the bungee loop we call. And we hang it like this, so that would be full of bait. And then you call this part the kitchen, you could call it. Somebody might call it a chamber, but to me it's more of a kitchen because they go in and eat, then they'll go in here, then they'll go back and put themselves back here. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much simple.
Do you think lobster fishing is a really physically demanding job overall?
It's pretty physical. I mean, you gotta, take care of yourself or whatever. You gotta be strong. It's a hard job. It's nothing easy about it. Sometimes it can be, like weather-wise, it can be crappy. Get the hell beat out of you or whatever. But other than that, you just gotta be in shape.
What is it like working with your hands? Do you prefer hands-on work to other forms of work?
Yeah, I do. I like hands-on work because that's really the way I learn, and it's the way memory works for me. Conversation and discussion is important, but it's when I do things physically that I'm a part of something that that process becomes a little more embedded with me, and I understand it on a different level.
I love hands-on work. I am not cut out for office work or anything, honestly. Like, even schoolwork. I love being out doing things.
I feel like technology has made your job somewhat outdated, or has the practice of lobster fishing evolved with technology?
Definitely made it easier. It makes it a lot easier finding your gear. It's, your chart plotter has everything on there, where your gear is, pieces of bottom, stuff like that. Then you have your depth finder, your depths and all that stuff. But yes, it does make it much easier. Much easier.
Lobsters are critical to the identity of Mainers. Lobster fishing in temperate waters can only be done in certain areas of the world, where waters are cold enough for lobsters to thrive. With the effect of global warming on ocean temperatures, Maine lobster might soon become a thing of the past. Even if you're a vegetarian or just don't like to eat lobster, we can all agree that preserving lobster habitats is an important issue relevant to COA students. We go to school on an island in the Atlantic Ocean and see lobster traps on a regular basis. Lobster tourism is a main contributor to Bar Harbor's economy, a system on which COA students depend on. As human ecologists at COA, we can all agree that the relationship between lobster and humans is an important one and should be preserved at all costs.